Your first reaction can often be your worst decision. A calm response takes strength, patience, and self-control. When you react without thinking, you give your power to the moment. But when you learn to respond with clarity, you take that power back. Most people let their emotions decide how they act. They get triggered, overwhelmed, and regret what they say or do. But you don't have to keep living like that. You can train your mind to pause, to think, and to act with purpose. Today, we will talk about how to train your mind to respond, not react. You will learn simple but powerful ways to slow down your thoughts, gain control over your emotions, and choose actions that help you, not hurt you. This is not about staying silent. It's about choosing peace over chaos and growth over regret. If you're ready to stop losing control and start owning your reactions, then let's dive in. Number 1. Pause and breathe deeply before saying anything back. Most people are trapped, not by their job, not by their past, not by someone else. They're trapped by their own automatic reactions. They go through their day on edge, just one moment away from snapping, shouting, defending, blaming. It's like the world is constantly pushing their buttons, and they don't even stop to ask, why do I keep giving people that kind of control over me? You see it every day. Someone cuts them off in traffic, and their whole day gets ruined. Someone disagrees with them, and now it's an argument. Someone criticizes them, and suddenly they shut down or lash out. And when you live like that, reacting without thinking, you're not in charge of your life. You're handing the wheel over to whatever or whoever presses the next button. That's not strength. That's being emotionally hijacked. That's living without discipline. And I'll tell you, that's a recipe for regret. You can't control every situation, and you sure can't control other people. But you can train yourself. You can build the kind of mind that stays calm even when the room gets loud, that stays thoughtful even when the pressure's high. That starts with one simple thing most people overlook. You pause. And you take a deep breath before saying anything back. That sounds small, but it's not. It's powerful. It's the first step to becoming the kind of person who doesn't just survive life, but leads it. When you pause, you interrupt the cycle. That moment between what happened and how you respond, that's where all your strength is. Because that's where you take back your control. Without that pause, you're just repeating the same habits over and over again. But with that pause, you give yourself the power to choose. And that's where the shift begins. When someone says something that upsets you, your body wants to react. Your heart races, your stomach tightens, your voice wants to jump in and defend. That's automatic. That's instinct. But that's not intelligence. The pause, that's your chance to stop being reactive and start being aware. You feel that surge inside? That's your body doing what it's used to. But your mind can do something different. It can slow down, take a breath, reset the system. You ever notice how just really breathing can change how you feel? Try it. Deep in through the nose, slow out through the mouth. That's not just relaxing. That's sending a message to your nervous system. We're not in danger. We're in control. And when your body hears that, everything slows down. Your thoughts get clearer. Your emotions settle. Your words become more thoughtful. That's not weakness. That's power under control. Most people think reacting fast shows strength. It doesn't. It shows you haven't trained your emotions. Real strength is when you could say something sharp, but you don't. When you could defend yourself in anger, but you choose peace instead. That doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you know how to walk through the fire without letting it burn your character. You know who gets ahead in life? The ones who think before they speak. The ones who don't let one bad moment ruin a good relationship. The ones who know how to stay calm in the middle of a storm. You don't get that by accident. You build it. You build it by practicing that pause every day. You train your body not to act on the first feeling, but to breathe, to wait, to understand. People will push your buttons. Life will challenge you. Some days will test your patience. But none of that has the right to decide who you are. Only you do. And the kind of person you become, calm, steady, thoughtful, respected, that begins with mastering that first pause. It's not weakness to breathe before you speak. It's wisdom. It's maturity. It's leadership. It's self-respect. When you practice this every day, pause, breathe, then respond, you start seeing the world differently. You don't get dragged into every argument. You don't feel the need to always have the last word. You don't take everything personally. You become someone people can rely on. Someone who brings peace, not chaos. Someone who leads by example. That's rare. And that's powerful. It's easy to get caught up in emotion, especially when someone says something that hits a nerve. But that's the test. That moment right there, is this going to control me, or am I going to rise above it? Is this going to drag me down, or is this the moment I become stronger? You get stronger when you take a deep breath, and you decide not to react, but to respond with clarity. When you start living like this, people notice. They feel safer around you. They trust you more. Not because you're perfect, but because you don't let your emotions run wild. You create space. You listen more. You choose your words with care. And that builds respect. That builds real influence. You'll notice something else too. You'll start feeling more peace inside, because you're no longer tied to every stressful moment. You don't let someone's bad day ruin yours. You start owning your space. You stop blaming the world for how you feel, and that's when your life changes. Not because the world got easier, but because you got stronger. That pause is not just about calming down. It's about choosing who you are. It's about becoming someone who doesn't just get through the day, but leads the day. Someone who doesn't just survive conflict, but brings clarity to it. That kind of person doesn't wait for things to get better. They start getting better themselves. They start leading from the inside out. You won't always get it right. Some days you'll slip. You'll react. That's part of the journey. But every time you come back to the pause, you're building a better mind, a stronger will, a calmer heart. You're becoming someone with real discipline, not the kind that shows off, but the kind that shows up when it matters most. Remember this. In the space between what happens and what you say next, that's where your entire future lives. Don't throw that away by speaking from anger. Don't waste that moment by reacting without thinking. That's your moment to grow. That's your moment to choose. And that moment, again and again, will shape the quality of your life. Pause, breathe, then speak. That's where your strength is. That's where your freedom is. That's how you stop being a prisoner of your emotions and start becoming a leader of your life. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to react to every criticism. You just need to take one deep breath, and that breath can change everything. Number 2, observe your thoughts without attaching to emotions. It's easy to believe that every thought that runs through your head is true, that when a negative idea pops up, I'm not good enough, they don't respect me, or this is hopeless, you have to believe it or act on it right away. Most people don't realize that their mind can be a crowded room filled with noise, fears, doubts, and half-truths that don't serve them. They get tangled up in these thoughts and emotions, allowing every feeling to dictate their behavior. The problem is not that these thoughts exist. It's that they get attached to them as if they are facts. When you believe every thought, your feelings become storms you can't calm, and your actions become reactions driven by chaos rather than clarity. But there is a different way to live a way where you watch your thoughts without jumping into the flood. Imagine standing by a river and watching the water flow. You don't grab the water, you just observe it moving by. Your thoughts are like that river. You don't have to catch every idea, argue with it, or feel crushed by it. You can simply watch and let it pass. This is not about ignoring your mind, but learning to be aware of it without getting caught in its drama. Why does this matter? Because when you stop attaching to every thought, you take back your power. Thoughts will come. Some will be positive, some will be negative. Some will be helpful, others will be lies your mind tells to keep you stuck. But when you watch them without getting pulled in, you create distance, and in that distance your response changes. Instead of reacting with fear, anger, or frustration, you begin to respond with intention. Most people don't train their minds this way. They live as if their thoughts control them, and that leads to impulsive decisions, emotional outbursts, and regret later. When you learn to observe your thoughts calmly, you create an inner calm that no outside event can shake. You start to understand that a thought is just a thought, not a command. It doesn't have to control your feelings or your actions. You might wonder how to do this in the heat of the moment. When emotions are high, it feels impossible to step back. But the practice begins in everyday life. Start by catching your thoughts as they come. When you feel angry, notice the thought behind the anger. When you feel sad, pay attention to the story your mind is telling you. Don't fight these thoughts. Don't judge yourself for having them. Just watch. Notice what arises without reacting. This practice builds what some call mental muscle. The more you observe without attachment, the stronger your mind becomes. The storms don't disappear, but your ability to stay steady grows. You don't get dragged into every conflict or carried away by every negative idea. You gain the skill to decide what deserves your attention and what doesn't. This is how emotional intelligence begins. When you can see your thoughts without reacting immediately, you start to understand your triggers. You see what kinds of thoughts lead to unhelpful emotions, and that awareness gives you the power to interrupt the cycle. Instead of spiraling into anxiety or anger, you catch yourself and choose a better path. This skill is a game changer for relationships. When someone says something hurtful, your first thought might be, "They don't care about me," or "They're against me." If you hold on to that thought and let your emotions take over, the situation escalates. But if you observe that thought as just a passing idea, you don't have to react immediately. You can take a moment, and your response becomes thoughtful instead of impulsive. It's important to remember that observing your thoughts doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is fine. Feelings are real signals, and they need attention. But when you can separate the feeling from the story your mind tells about it, you gain clarity. You might feel hurt, but the thought, "I'm worthless," doesn't have to be true or believed. Most people live with the radio in their head turned up too loud. Their thoughts shout and scream, and they don't know how to turn the volume down. Learning to observe is like becoming the DJ of your mind. You get to decide which tracks play and which get muted. That control leads to peace and better decisions. You might ask, how do you build this habit? Start with small moments of quiet. Set aside time each day to watch your thoughts without judgment. Notice the patterns. Write down what you observe if it helps. Over time, you'll notice that you don't need to react to every thought. You'll catch yourself before you get swept away. When life throws challenges at you, this habit becomes a lifesaver. You won't find yourself drowning in worries or rushing to defend yourself. Instead, you'll notice the thoughts coming up, acknowledge them, and choose your response with clarity. That's how you build mental resilience. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed or upset. What if you had been able to step back from your thoughts for just a moment? What if you could have said, "This is a thought, not a fact," or "I don't have to believe everything I think"? That moment of awareness can change the whole direction of your day. Watching your thoughts without attaching to them is not always easy. It takes practice and patience. Sometimes emotions will pull you back in, but every time you catch yourself, you grow stronger. Your mind becomes less reactive and more creative, less fearful and more hopeful. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. When you understand this, you begin to live with greater freedom. You start to see the world and yourself with new eyes. You don't become numb or cold. You become clear and calm. You become the person who acts with purpose instead of emotion. When you observe your thoughts, you also learn to understand yourself better. You see the fears and beliefs that have held you back. You recognize the stories that no longer serve you. And with that understanding comes the ability to change. You don't have to be a slave to old patterns. You can create new ones. This skill builds patience too. When you can watch your thoughts, you realize that not every impulse needs immediate action. Some things need time. Some emotions need space. Some problems need a calm mind. That patience is a gift you give yourself and others. In this world where everything moves fast and reactions happen in seconds, training your mind to observe rather than jump in is revolutionary. It separates those who live overwhelmed and exhausted from those who live centered and in control. You will find that this practice opens doors to better decisions. When you're not ruled by emotional storms, you can think clearly, communicate better, and build stronger relationships. You gain the respect of others because you don't get pulled into every drama. Instead, you handle life with grace and wisdom. No one else can do this work for you. It's your mind, your practice, your growth. But the reward is worth every effort, a mind that serves you, not sabotages you. A heart that feels but doesn't drown. A life led by choice, not chance. This is the path to freedom from reaction. It's the path to responding with power and peace. It starts with watching your thoughts. And when you master this, you move closer to mastering yourself. That is a prize no one can take away from you. Number 3. Practice mindfulness daily to build inner control. Every day, countless people live caught in a whirlwind of distractions, stress, and emotional ups and downs. Most don't even realize how much their mind is scattered until they find themselves overwhelmed, exhausted, and reacting to whatever situation comes their way. This isn't just about being busy. It's about how life constantly pulls your attention in every direction, demanding your energy, making it almost impossible to keep calm and steady. Many try to push through with willpower alone, but willpower is a limited resource. It fades when you need it the most. That's why building inner control is not about fighting harder. It's about training your mind in a different way. Mindfulness is the key. Mindfulness is not a buzzword or a trend. It's a practical skill that rewires your brain to stay grounded in the present moment, even when life feels chaotic. When you practice mindfulness daily, you train your mind to notice what's happening inside and around you without judgment or distraction. This practice strengthens your ability to stay calm, focused, and in control no matter what life throws at you. It's like building a muscle that holds you steady during storms rather than letting them toss you around. Imagine waking up each morning and spending just a few minutes paying attention to your breathing, your body, or your thoughts. This is not about stopping your thoughts or forcing yourself to feel calm. It's about observing your experience with honesty and acceptance. That small daily habit creates a foundation of calm that carries you through the day. When you do this consistently, your brain learns new pathways. It becomes less reactive to triggers and more responsive with intention. Many people feel powerless because their emotions seem to hit them out of nowhere. One minute they're fine, the next they're frustrated, anxious, or angry. Mindfulness interrupts this automatic chain reaction. It puts you in the driver's seat instead of the passenger seat of your emotional responses. The practice is simple but profound. It trains your mind to be present instead of lost in worry about the future or regret over the past. When your mind stays present, you see things more clearly and your emotions become easier to manage. The truth is that most reactions come from a mind caught in stories, judgments, or distractions. Mindfulness pulls you out of that fog. It brings your attention back to what is real and immediate. This clarity lets you respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. You don't have to suppress your feelings. Instead, you recognize them without getting overwhelmed. That's where true inner control lives. Practicing mindfulness daily is not a quick fix. It requires patience and consistency. The good news is you don't need hours of meditation or special equipment. You can start with simple exercises, focusing on your breath for a few minutes, paying attention to the sensations in your body, or even observing your surroundings without labeling them as good or bad. These moments build your mental strength and awareness over time. When stress hits during the day, this foundation of mindfulness becomes your anchor. Instead of spiraling into frustration or panic, you notice the tension in your body and the racing thoughts in your mind. You acknowledge them without judgment and choose how to act next. This space between feeling and response is where control grows. It's where you decide to act from calmness, not chaos. Mindfulness also improves your ability to listen not just to others but to yourself. When you're mindful, you become aware of your needs, limits, and feelings. You stop pushing yourself blindly and start caring for your well-being. This self-awareness helps prevent burnout and emotional exhaustion, common traps for people who live on autopilot. In relationships, mindfulness creates a powerful shift. When you're present with others, you don't get caught up in assumptions or old patterns. You hear what's actually being said instead of what you expect or fear. This presence fosters patience, empathy, and clearer communication. You become less defensive and more open, turning conflicts into opportunities for connection rather than division. Life's challenges will never disappear. Stressful situations will come without warning. But when you have practiced mindfulness, you build a calm core that doesn't break easily. You learn to meet difficulty with a clear mind and a steady heart. This is what separates those who feel overwhelmed from those who lead with confidence and grace. The science behind mindfulness confirms what many have known through experience. Regular practice changes your brain. It strengthens areas responsible for emotional regulation, attention, and self-control. This means that mindfulness doesn't just help you feel better temporarily. It builds lasting mental resilience that supports you in every area of life. You might think mindfulness sounds complicated or that you don't have time. But even brief moments count. Taking 3 deep, focused breaths before responding to a stressful email or conversation can shift your entire mood. Pausing to notice your sensations during a difficult moment brings you back to balance. These small choices add up to big changes. The biggest obstacle people face with mindfulness is thinking it has to be perfect or only done in silence. The truth is, mindfulness can happen anywhere in the car, at your desk, while washing dishes. It's about cultivating awareness wherever you are. When you make it a daily habit, it becomes part of your life, not an extra task. Mindfulness is not about escaping reality. It's about meeting reality with your full presence and power. When you practice it daily, you stop being controlled by your impulses, fears, and distractions. Instead, you choose your responses thoughtfully and calmly. This builds trust in yourself and shows others that you are someone who handles life's ups and downs with strength. This practice also deepens your connection with your own values and goals. When your mind is clear and focused, you see more clearly what truly matters. You don't get sidetracked by every little annoyance or distraction. Your energy goes toward what moves you forward. This kind of inner control leads to better decisions and a more meaningful life. Building mindfulness is like planting seeds for your future self. The more you water these seeds with consistent practice, the stronger and more resilient your mind becomes. You gain the ability to pause in difficult moments and choose peace instead of reaction. You develop patience with yourself and others. You grow into a person who doesn't just respond to life but shapes it. No one else can practice mindfulness for you. It's a personal journey that requires commitment and honesty. But the rewards are clear: greater calm, clearer thinking, deeper relationships, and real control over your life. When you practice mindfulness every day, you step into your power to respond, not react, and that changes everything. Number 4. Create space between trigger and your response. Life has a way of throwing unexpected moments at us, words that sting, situations that frustrate, events that shake us to our core. Most people react immediately, driven by whatever emotion surfaces first: anger, fear, hurt, or impatience. The problem is that these reactions often make situations worse. They push relationships to the edge, cloud judgment, and create regrets. The truth is, almost nobody is taught how to create space between what happens and how they respond. That space is where power lives. Without it, people live their lives as slaves to their impulses, reacting blindly instead of responding intentionally. When someone says something offensive or when a problem arises, the natural impulse is to jump in, defend, or fight back. It's a reflex rooted deep in our biology, meant to protect us. But today's battles rarely require that kind of knee-jerk reaction. More often, the real strength is in holding back, pausing, and creating room to choose your next move wisely. Creating space means refusing to be dragged by the first wave of emotion. It's about inserting a pause, a moment where you acknowledge the trigger but don't let it control your next action. Most people underestimate the power of this pause. They see it as weakness or indecision, but in reality, it's the greatest strength you can develop. That space is a moment of freedom. It's a chance to breathe, think, and regain control. Without it, your reactions are driven by whatever noise is loudest in your head. With it, you become the author of your behavior. Imagine that every challenge, criticism, or annoyance is a spark. Without space, you get burned. With space, you decide if you want to fan the flame or let it die out. Creating this gap between trigger and response is a skill anyone can learn. It's a practice of self-awareness combined with intentional breathing and reflection. This space doesn't have to be long. Even a few seconds can change everything. Those few seconds allow your brain to shift from the emotional part, the part that reacts impulsively, to the thinking part, where reasoning and choice live. That shift changes your entire experience. You don't just survive difficult moments, you master them. To create this space, the first step is recognizing your triggers. These are specific situations, words, or actions that ignite strong emotional reactions in you. It could be a sharp tone from a coworker, a traffic jam, or criticism from a loved one. When you know your triggers, you become more alert. You start to see when your emotions are rising, signaling that a pause is needed. Next, you practice the pause itself. This is where your breath becomes your ally. A deep, conscious breath slows your heart rate and sends a signal to your brain that you're safe. This simple act interrupts the fight-or-flight response and activates the part of your brain responsible for thoughtful action. The breath is your tool for creating that essential space. Once you've paused and taken a breath, the next step is reflection. Ask yourself, what response will serve you best? Will reacting immediately help or hurt the situation? What outcome do you want? This moment of reflection often reveals that the automatic reaction isn't the wisest choice. You might decide to stay silent, speak calmly, or walk away. Whatever your decision, it's made from a place of control, not chaos. It's important to understand that creating space doesn't mean ignoring problems or being passive. It means engaging with life more thoughtfully. You're not avoiding the situation. You're choosing to respond in a way that aligns with your values and long-term goals. This kind of self-mastery builds confidence and respect from yourself and others. This practice can transform relationships. When you create space between what others say and how you respond, you reduce misunderstandings and conflicts. People notice when you don't react with immediate judgment or anger. You become someone others trust to stay calm under pressure. That calmness can diffuse tense situations and open the door to better communication. Creating space also protects your mental health. Reacting impulsively to every trigger drains your energy and fuels stress. It keeps you trapped in cycles of frustration and regret. When you create space, you break those cycles. You protect your peace and create room for positive solutions. Building this skill takes repetition. At first, the impulse to react will be strong, and the space you create may be brief. But with consistent effort, the pause grows longer, and your ability to respond calmly strengthens. It's like building a new habit that rewires your brain toward resilience. Life won't slow down to give you time to practice. Challenges will come quickly and without warning. But when you've trained yourself to create space, you don't have to be a victim of circumstances. You become the one who shapes your experience. This control is empowering. One practical way to build this habit is to rehearse the pause before difficult moments. Anticipate situations where triggers are likely and remind yourself to pause, breathe, and reflect. This preparation makes it easier to access the space when the moment actually arrives. It's also helpful to develop cues that remind you to create space. It could be a mental note, a phrase, or a physical action like touching your fingers together or taking a breath. These cues act as breaks in the moment, helping you resist the rush to react. Remember, creating space is not about being perfect. Sometimes emotions will win and you will react. That's human. What matters is that you keep practicing. Every time you pause instead of reacting immediately, you strengthen your ability to do it again next time. This skill extends beyond conflict. It applies to everyday stress, disappointment, and frustration. Anytime your emotions push you toward a quick reaction, you can choose to create space and respond differently. This ability builds a sense of calm and control that radiates into all areas of your life. In moments of pressure, when your heart races and your mind screams for action, creating space is the choice to rise above instinct and respond with wisdom. It turns chaos into clarity and reaction into response. This shift is where growth happens. By making space between trigger and response, you reclaim your power. You stop being controlled by outside events and start leading your life. This practice rewires your mind for peace, strength, and intentional living. It's one of the most effective ways to transform how you experience the world. Creating space is a habit that anyone can build, no matter your background or current challenges. It starts with awareness, breathing, and reflection. With time, it becomes automatic, and you live in a state of calm readiness instead of constant reaction. The results are undeniable. Greater patience, better decision-making, healthier relationships, and inner peace. When you create space, you live a life led by choice, not chance. You become someone who responds with intention, not reaction every time. Number 5. Ask yourself if reacting helps the situation. Life often presents moments that feel like emergencies. Something happens, and without much thought, people react immediately. But how many times do those reactions actually improve the situation? When frustration spikes, anger flares, or fear grips us, the urge to respond quickly is natural. The problem is, reacting impulsively often makes things worse. It adds fuel to the fire, escalates conflicts, or leads to decisions that bring regret. Most people never stop to ask a simple but powerful question: does reacting right now help me? Taking this pause to evaluate the value of your reaction changes everything. When you ask yourself whether reacting helps, you step out of automatic behavior and into conscious choice. This question invites clarity in the middle of chaos. Instead of letting your emotions drive your words or actions, you check in with yourself. You slow down and assess the situation from a more objective place. This practice transforms how you deal with conflict, criticism, or any trigger that challenges your peace. The reality is, most reactions are emotional responses that serve short-term needs, like defending your ego or expressing frustration. These responses rarely solve the real problem. Instead, they create new challenges, damaged relationships, lost respect, and unnecessary stress. The impulse to react might feel urgent, but the long-term consequences often outweigh the momentary release of emotion. By asking if reacting helps, you introduce a strategic moment to choose differently. This isn't about suppressing feelings or pretending everything is fine. It's about recognizing the impact of your response on the situation and yourself. Sometimes the best reaction is no reaction at all. Sometimes it's a calm conversation later. Other times it's walking away and returning when emotions cool down. This question guides you to responses that serve your values and goals, instead of just relieving emotional pressure. This habit builds emotional intelligence. You become aware of how your reactions affect your life and the people around you. You notice patterns where reacting has caused harm or held you back. This awareness empowers you to break free from those cycles. You gain the ability to pause, reflect, and act with intention rather than impulse. One of the hardest things for people to accept is that reacting rarely changes the other person's behavior immediately. When emotions run high on both sides, reacting often escalates tension. But when you ask yourself if reacting helps, you open the door for better solutions. You create space for dialogue, understanding, and calm problem-solving. This question also helps you control your emotional energy. Reacting impulsively can drain your mental and physical resources quickly. You get caught in a loop of frustration and exhaustion. When you pause to consider whether your reaction helps, you protect your energy and focus it on constructive actions. This makes you more effective in handling challenges. Learning to ask this question consistently requires practice. It's not easy to insert this moment of reflection when emotions feel intense and time feels short. But the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you train your brain to slow down in stressful moments and evaluate your next move carefully. This practice is valuable not only in conflict, but in everyday situations. For example, when you feel irritation with a coworker, impatience in traffic, or frustration with a family member, asking if reacting helps prevents unnecessary stress. You start to see that some reactions add nothing positive and simply drain your peace. You learn to reserve your energy for what really matters. This question also improves your decision-making. When you stop reacting impulsively, you gain clarity and control over your choices. You become more strategic about how you spend your emotional energy. This leads to better outcomes in your relationships, work, and personal goals. In relationships, this practice changes the dynamic dramatically. People respond better to calm and thoughtful behavior than to reactive outbursts. When you show that you're choosing your responses carefully, you build trust and respect. Others feel safer and more willing to communicate honestly. Conflicts become opportunities for growth rather than battles to win. You can strengthen this habit by creating reminders. When you notice your emotions rising, silently ask yourself, "Will reacting help me right now?" This simple question interrupts the automatic reaction and invites perspective. Pair it with a deep breath or a moment of silence to deepen the pause. It's important to be honest in your answer. Sometimes the honest answer is yes. Reacting might help if it's calm, constructive, and purposeful. Other times, it's better to wait or choose a different approach. This question is not about avoiding action, it's about choosing the right action. Embracing this question also teaches patience and self-compassion. You accept that you are not perfect and will react sometimes, but you commit to learning from those moments and improving. This mindset creates a cycle of growth and self-awareness. When challenges hit unexpectedly, this question anchors you. Instead of being swept away by emotion, you stay centered. You respond in ways that keep your dignity and move you forward. This habit strengthens your resilience and peace of mind. The difference between reacting and responding can be life-changing. Reacting often feels like being controlled by circumstances. Responding feels like leading your life with intention and courage. Asking yourself if reacting helps is the doorway from one to the other. Every time you choose to pause and ask this question, you reclaim power over your emotions and actions. You stop giving away control to your triggers and start choosing responses that reflect who you want to be. This is how you build a life defined by purpose, calm, and strength. This question isn't complicated, but its impact is profound. It transforms chaos into clarity, reaction into response, and stress into opportunity. It's a simple tool that anyone can use, no matter their situation, to change how they live and interact with the world. Building this habit creates ripple effects in every area of life. You become more patient with yourself and others. You make wiser choices that align with your goals. You avoid unnecessary conflicts and protect your emotional well-being. Over time, you become someone who handles life's ups and downs with grace and strength. Asking yourself if reacting helps rewires your brain to choose peace and power over impulsivity. It's a skill that anyone can learn, and one of the most effective ways to train your mind to respond, not react. This small but mighty question is a game changer for anyone ready to take control of their life and emotions. Number 6. Train your focus to stay calm under stress. Stress hits hard for most people, and when it does, the mind and body tend to spiral out of control quickly. In those moments, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, distracted, and like you're losing yourself to whatever pressure is bearing down. Many don't realize that this loss of control isn't an accident. It's often the result of a mind that hasn't been trained to focus calmly when things get tough. The mind, when left untrained, jumps from thought to thought, feeding on fear and anxiety. But the truth is, your mind can be shaped. You can build your focus so strong that no matter how stressful the situation, you remain calm, collected, and in command of your emotions. That kind of focus is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows stronger the more you work on it. When stress arrives, it's natural to want to escape or react impulsively. But reacting that way only feeds the storm inside. The first step in training your focus is to acknowledge that stress is a part of life and can be managed. It's not about eliminating stress, it's about learning how to steady yourself amidst it. Imagine your mind as a lighthouse in a stormy sea, the light cutting through the dark, unfazed by the crashing waves. That lighthouse is your focus. It's what keeps you grounded. The challenge is that under stress, your attention often shifts to all the negative possibilities, the what-ifs, the mistakes, the fears. This flood of thoughts pulls you away from the present moment and paralyzes your ability to respond effectively. Training your focus means learning to catch your wandering mind and bring it back to what matters most. It means developing the skill to settle your thoughts quickly, no matter how intense the pressure becomes. One powerful method to train your focus is through simple breathing exercises. Deep, slow breaths send signals to your nervous system to calm down. When practiced regularly, these breathing techniques become automatic responses to stress. Your brain learns that when you breathe deeply, it's safe to relax. This simple habit interrupts the rush of stress and helps you regain control. Over time, it rewires your response system, making calmness your default under pressure. Beyond breathing, focus training involves deliberately directing your attention. In daily life, distractions are everywhere: phones, noise, worries. Most people let their attention drift wherever it wants, especially in stressful moments. But by practicing focused attention, you build mental discipline. Start by setting short periods where you focus entirely on one thing, whether it's a task, a sound, or your breath. Gradually increase these periods, strengthening your mental stamina. This discipline trains your brain to resist distractions when real stress hits. Staying calm under stress also requires managing your internal dialogue. The voice inside your head can either fuel panic or build resilience. Pay close attention to the thoughts you entertain during tough times. Are they helping you stay calm, or are they pushing you toward anxiety? Training your focus means choosing to catch negative thoughts and replace them with steady, encouraging ones. This mental shift reduces emotional turmoil and improves your clarity. It's important to recognize that stress often triggers physical reactions: racing heart, tight muscles, shallow breathing that pull your focus away from clear thinking. Part of training your focus is learning to notice these physical signs early. When you spot the tension rising in your body, you can use your breath or a brief moment of stillness to reset your mind. This awareness is crucial. It creates a feedback loop where your body and mind support each other in staying calm. People who train their focus don't just survive stress, they use it as a signal to sharpen their awareness. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, they become alert, attentive, and intentional. This kind of calm focus allows them to see solutions more clearly, communicate more effectively, and maintain their emotional balance. They don't get trapped in panic or impulsivity. They respond with a steady hand. Building this focus muscle takes time and persistence. It won't happen overnight, and it won't be perfect. You will lose focus sometimes. You will feel overwhelmed. But every time you notice your mind wandering or your stress rising and you bring your attention back, you're training that muscle. Each of these moments is progress. It's useful to incorporate daily focus training into your routine. Practices like meditation, mindful walking, or focused reading build the habit of calm attention. When stress shows up in real life, these practices give you a reservoir of strength to draw from. Your mind will recognize the calm you cultivated and revert to it even in difficult moments. Another key part of focus training is learning to prioritize what deserves your attention during stress. When you feel the pressure, your mind often tries to address everything at once. This overload creates chaos. Instead, develop the habit of narrowing your focus to the immediate step or the most important element of the situation. This breaks down overwhelming moments into manageable parts and keeps your mind clear. It's also helpful to limit exposure to unnecessary stressors like negative news or toxic conversations, which drain your mental resources. Protecting your focus means guarding what you allow into your mind. When your mind is not cluttered with unnecessary distractions, it's easier to stay calm when true stress arises. As you train your focus, you will notice a powerful change in your relationships. People are drawn to calmness. When you remain steady in stressful moments, you become a source of reassurance for others. Your calm focus inspires confidence and respect. Instead of adding fuel to conflict, you help calm the room. Stress is inevitable, but losing control is optional. Training your focus to stay calm under stress isn't just about feeling better in the moment. It's about changing the entire way you engage with life. You begin to face challenges with a clear mind and a steady heart. Your decisions improve, your stress diminishes, and your ability to lead your life strengthens. Your mind is a powerful tool, but it requires training to perform well under pressure. This training begins with simple awareness and grows with practice. Each day you work on focus, you build resilience. You shift from reacting to responding. You transform stress from a threat into an opportunity for growth. In this process, patience is essential. Don't expect perfection, and don't judge yourself harshly when your focus slips. Instead, celebrate every moment you catch yourself and bring your attention back. That is progress. That is mastery. When stress threatens to overwhelm, remember that calm focus is within reach. It's a skill that anyone can develop. It's the difference between being tossed by the storm and steering your own ship through it. This strength changes how you live every day, how you work, how you relate, how you face yourself. Training your focus is training your freedom. It frees you from chaos, from impulsivity, from being controlled by circumstances. It frees you to live with clarity, peace, and power. It's a gift you give yourself that pays dividends in every moment, no matter how tough things get. Number 7. Use silence as a powerful response to conflict. Conflict is something everyone faces, yet most people don't realize how much power lies in simply choosing silence. When tension rises, the first instinct for many is to jump in, defend, explain, or fight back. But reacting immediately with words can often make things worse, stirring up more emotion and confusion. The reality is, silence can be one of the strongest tools in your arsenal. It's not about ignoring problems or being passive. It's about choosing to pause, listen, and create space for clarity. Silence in the middle of conflict sends a message louder than any words can. It shows strength, self-control, and confidence. This is what most people miss. Silence is not weakness. It's an intentional act of power. Most conflicts escalate because people feel they must fill every moment with words. They fear silence will be seen as surrender or disinterest. But that's the opposite of what silence can achieve. When you resist the urge to react immediately, you create a buffer between the trigger and your response. This buffer gives your mind time to settle, your emotions time to cool, and your perspective a chance to become clearer. The moment of silence is a gift you give yourself, an opportunity to regain control and respond with intention rather than impulse. Many people live life on autopilot, responding reflexively to whatever happens around them. But conflict demands something different. It requires pause. Choosing silence at the right moment sends a powerful signal. You are not controlled by chaos. You decide how to engage. When the other person sees your calm and steady silence, it can diffuse anger and confusion on their end too. They realize this isn't just another fight. This is a conversation with meaning. Silence forces the other party to slow down. When we fill every space with words, we risk overwhelming the conversation and missing important points. Silence opens the door for deeper understanding. It encourages both sides to reflect rather than react. In that quiet space, true communication can begin. You listen not only with your ears but with your presence. You show respect for the situation and for yourself. Many people shy away from silence because it feels uncomfortable. It's natural to want to jump in, explain yourself, or defend your position. But in conflict, this rush to speak often inflames tension. Silence can feel awkward at first, especially when emotions are high. But that discomfort is temporary, and the benefits are long-lasting. Learning to sit with silence is learning to hold your ground calmly and confidently. Using silence strategically doesn't mean ignoring issues or avoiding necessary conversations. It means choosing your words carefully and timing your responses with wisdom. When you speak after a pause, your words carry more weight. They come from a place of thoughtfulness, not reactivity. People tend to listen more when you don't flood them with constant speech. Your silence creates an atmosphere of respect and seriousness. Silence also protects your energy. Conflict can be draining when you get caught up in heated exchanges. By stepping back and embracing quiet, you conserve your strength. This preservation allows you to remain clear-headed and emotionally balanced. You avoid the exhaustion that comes with shouting or arguing for hours. Instead, you engage on your terms, with purpose. In moments of conflict, silence gives you time to observe. You can watch the other person's tone, body language, and expressions without interrupting. This observation reveals more than words sometimes can. It helps you understand the root of the conflict better and figure out how to address it effectively. When you respond after listening fully and silently, your reply is more likely to resolve tension rather than escalate it. People often underestimate the power of silence because our culture values speaking up and being heard. But real strength lies in knowing when to speak and when to hold back. Silence requires courage. It means standing firm without needing to dominate the conversation. It means having faith in your own presence and your ability to handle whatever comes next. Sometimes, silence also invites the other person to reconsider their words. When you don't react immediately, they may reflect on what they said or how they said it. Silence can be a mirror that shows the intensity or unfairness of their own behavior. This can lead to unexpected breakthroughs in understanding and respect. To use silence effectively, practice it regularly. Notice how you react in everyday conversations. Pay attention to moments when you rush to speak and how those moments turn out. Begin to experiment with pausing, count to 3 before responding, take a slow breath, or simply allow a quiet moment. These small exercises build your ability to hold silence comfortably, even in tense situations. It's also important to remember that silence is not about ignoring your feelings or burying your truth. It's about choosing the right time and way to express yourself. When you do speak after silence, speak clearly and calmly, grounded in what you truly want to communicate, not what anger or fear might push you to say. Conflict often triggers a flood of emotions: anger, frustration, fear. Silence helps you keep those feelings from controlling your actions. It's a pause that lets you reconnect with your true intentions. What do you want to accomplish? How do you want to be remembered in this interaction? When you answer those questions in the silence, your response becomes a tool for progress, not destruction. Many leaders, negotiators, and wise individuals understand this power instinctively. They use silence as a form of influence, not manipulation. Their silence speaks volumes, commanding respect without aggression. This is a lesson for anyone wanting to master their mind and their interactions. Silence teaches patience, discipline, and emotional intelligence. By embracing silence as a response to conflict, you take control of your emotional landscape. You refuse to be dragged into drama or chaos. Instead, you stand grounded in your values and your calm. This presence has a magnetic effect. People gravitate toward those who can remain steady in storms, who don't add fuel to the fire. Conflict will never disappear completely, but how you handle it can change everything. Silence is a choice that transforms conflict from a battlefield into a place for growth and understanding. It creates space for respect, reflection, and meaningful connection. This power is available to anyone willing to practice. It starts with small moments, choosing to hold back a quick retort, resisting the urge to interrupt, sitting quietly when the world wants noise. Over time, these moments build a foundation of calm that carries you through every challenge. When next conflict arises, remember silence is not empty. It's full of potential. It is strength, patience, and wisdom all wrapped into one. It's the quiet voice that speaks louder than any argument, the pause that changes the course of a conversation, the calm in the eye of the storm. Embrace silence, and you will find your mind trained to respond, not react, every single time. Number 8. Journal your emotional triggers and learn from them. Most people go through their days unaware of the hidden patterns that drive their emotions. They react to situations without realizing why certain words or events strike such a deep chord. This lack of awareness leads to repeated frustration, conflict, and regret. The truth is, your emotional triggers are clues, signals that point to past wounds, unmet needs, or beliefs you hold about yourself and the world. Ignoring these triggers means you're leaving a huge part of your mind uncontrolled, like a car without brakes careening down a hill. Journaling your emotional triggers is the key to unlocking this control. It's not just about writing down feelings, it's about observing what sets you off, exploring why, and gaining insight that empowers you to choose how you respond. When a situation pushes your buttons, it often feels like a sudden storm inside you, anger, sadness, anxiety, or frustration rising quickly and loudly. This storm demands immediate attention and often triggers automatic reactions that create more problems than solutions. But if you commit to journaling regularly, you create a safe space to catch these storms before they spiral out of control. Writing slows everything down. It forces you to pause and articulate what you're experiencing rather than acting out blindly. This simple act of reflection transforms emotional chaos into clear understanding. Journaling emotional triggers is a form of self-awareness that most people never practice seriously. They experience their feelings but don't investigate them. Over time, these unexamined triggers pile up, creating hidden stress and unresolved tension. By writing about what caused your emotional response, you're shining a light on your internal landscape. This light reveals patterns, maybe a recurring theme of feeling disrespected, overlooked, or insecure. These patterns point to the root causes, not just the surface reactions. A powerful part of this process is identifying the circumstances that bring out these triggers. What was said? Who was involved? How did the situation unfold? Describing these details helps you see the exact moments that flip the switch inside your mind. Often, the trigger isn't the whole story, but just the tip of an iceberg made up of past experiences, beliefs, and fears. Journaling lets you piece together this iceberg and understand what lies beneath the surface. Once you recognize these triggers, the next step is asking why they affect you so deeply. This requires honesty and patience. Maybe a criticism reminds you of times when you felt unworthy. Maybe someone's impatience echoes the times you felt rushed or pressured in childhood. These connections aren't always easy to face, but they are necessary for growth. Journaling offers a private space to explore these feelings without judgment or distraction. It's where you can ask yourself the tough questions and begin to heal old wounds. Learning from your emotional triggers through journaling builds emotional intelligence. You start to see yourself as an observer rather than a victim of your feelings. This shift is profound because it puts you in charge of your responses. Instead of being swept away by anger or fear, you understand the why behind your reactions and can choose a different path. This is the foundation of training your mind to respond, not react. Journaling also helps you track progress over time. When emotions flare, it's easy to feel like you're stuck in a cycle. But looking back through your journal, you'll notice subtle changes. Maybe you're less reactive, or you're able to identify triggers before they overwhelm you. This evidence of growth motivates you to keep practicing. It turns the abstract idea of emotional control into something concrete and measurable. Another benefit is that journaling sharpens your communication skills. When you know what triggers you and why, you can express your feelings more clearly and calmly to others. Instead of blaming or attacking, you share your perspective with honesty and respect. This clarity reduces misunderstandings and builds stronger relationships. People respond better to someone who speaks from understanding rather than anger. To start journaling your emotional triggers effectively, keep a simple notebook or use a digital app. Whatever feels natural. After any emotionally charged moment, write down the situation in detail. What happened, how you felt, what thoughts ran through your mind. Don't censor yourself. Honesty is crucial. Then explore why it affected you so much. Ask questions like, what past experience does this remind me of? What do I fear losing or not getting? What need is unmet here? Writing these reflections helps your mind organize and digest emotions instead of letting them control you. Make this a daily habit even when your day feels calm. Reflecting on smaller frustrations or moments of discomfort prepares you for bigger challenges. The more you journal, the more you develop an emotional map that guides your responses. You learn not just to survive difficult emotions, but to grow through them. Sometimes, journaling about emotional triggers uncovers deeper issues that might require outside help, therapy, coaching, or trusted conversations. That's okay. The goal isn't to fix everything alone, but to become aware enough to seek support when needed. Journaling is the first step in this journey, opening the door to healing and empowerment. When you train your mind through journaling, you gain a powerful tool for self-mastery. Instead of being a puppet pulled by invisible strings, you become the director of your emotional life. You see triggers not as threats, but as opportunities to understand yourself better and respond with wisdom. This practice also reduces the shame or confusion that often comes with emotional reactions. You realize that feeling triggered is a natural human experience. Everyone has wounds and sensitivities. Journaling normalizes these feelings and shows that emotional control is a skill, not a personality trait. It's something you build, piece by piece, through awareness and reflection. Through consistent journaling, you become fluent in your own emotional language. This fluency transforms your interactions and your inner world. You gain confidence that you can handle difficult emotions and situations without losing your composure. This confidence changes how you move through life. It opens doors, builds trust, and creates peace. Many people look outside themselves for answers, but the key to mastering reactions lies inside. Journaling your emotional triggers is a direct line to that inner knowledge. It's an act of courage to face your feelings honestly and a commitment to grow beyond old patterns. In the end, this practice is about freedom from automatic reactions, freedom from the weight of unresolved emotions, freedom to respond to life's challenges with clarity and calm. The pen and paper become tools of transformation, helping you build the habit of choosing response over reaction every time. The path won't always be easy, but it will be worth it. Journaling your emotional triggers is an investment in yourself that pays dividends in peace, strength, and emotional resilience. It trains your mind to lead, not follow, to act with intention, not impulse, to live with awareness, not distraction. This is how you become the person who controls their mind instead of being controlled by it. Number 9. Meditate every morning to sharpen your awareness. Most people wake up and dive straight into their day, rushing from one thing to another without taking a moment to check in with themselves. This fast pace leaves the mind cluttered, distracted, and often reactive. It's no wonder that when stress hits or challenges arise, the first response is emotional and impulsive. The reality is, your mornings set the tone for everything that follows. Meditation every morning isn't some vague mystical practice meant only for monks or spiritual gurus. It's a practical, effective way to train your mind to be sharper, calmer, and more aware. When you start your day with meditation, you don't just get peace. You build mental muscles that help you respond instead of react, no matter what life throws at you. The power of morning meditation lies in how it rewires your brain to recognize the difference between stimulus and response. You learn to catch your thoughts and feelings early before they hijack your actions. The first few moments after waking are prime time for this work because your mind is still fresh, uncluttered by the noise of the day. Sitting quietly in the morning, focusing on your breath or simply observing your thoughts without judgment sets up a new habit, one that creates space in your mind where choices can be made consciously. Meditation sharpens your awareness like a knife sharpening a blade. You become more attuned to your internal state, noticing subtle changes in mood or tension before they escalate. This heightened awareness acts as an early warning system. Instead of being blindsided by anger or anxiety, you sense it coming and have the option to step back. This is the foundation of responding, not reacting. It's about creating a gap between what happens outside and how you act inside. For many, sitting quietly feels unnatural or even frustrating at first. The mind wants to wander, jump from one thought to another, or rush back to the day's worries. That's normal. Meditation is a practice, not perfection. The real value comes from returning to the breath or your point of focus again and again. Each time you do this, you build patience and discipline. Over weeks and months, your mind becomes more stable and less prone to distraction. You train it to remain calm amid the chaos. Morning meditation also grounds you in the present moment. Most reactivity comes from either dwelling on past regrets or worrying about future problems. Meditation brings you back to now, where true control exists. When you start your day present, you carry that presence forward. You become less likely to get lost in unhelpful thoughts and more able to deal with situations as they actually are, not as you fear or imagine them to be. In practical terms, meditation strengthens your ability to choose your reactions intentionally. When a trigger arises later in the day, your mind recognizes the familiar pattern of rising emotion, but also recalls the calm and space you cultivated in the morning. This mental muscle memory lets you pause and decide how to act rather than being swept away by impulse. It's like having a mental reset button ready to use whenever you need it. Regular morning meditation also improves your overall emotional resilience. It helps regulate stress hormones and calms the nervous system. When your body is relaxed, your mind is clearer. This physical and mental balance supports thoughtful, measured responses instead of knee-jerk reactions. You become more adaptable and open, better equipped to handle conflict and pressure without losing yourself. Another benefit of daily meditation is that it enhances your focus. Life today bombards us with distractions, phones, emails, noise, and it's easy to feel scattered. Meditation trains your attention to stay fixed on one thing at a time, improving concentration throughout the day. When you can focus better, you notice details and nuances in conversations and situations, which helps you respond more wisely. You catch misunderstandings before they grow, and you make decisions with greater clarity. Starting your mornings with meditation doesn't require hours of sitting still or complicated techniques. Even 5 to 10 minutes is enough to make a difference if done consistently. Find a quiet spot, sit comfortably, and focus on your breath. Notice each inhale and exhale. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back. Over time, you might add simple awareness exercises like scanning your body for tension or silently repeating calming phrases. The key is consistency, not complexity. Many who practice morning meditation report not only better emotional control, but also increased energy and mental clarity. Instead of dragging yourself through the day, you feel more alive and purposeful. The small investment of time pays off by reducing mistakes, preventing conflicts, and boosting your ability to stay calm under stress. This calm isn't weakness, it's strength, a steady foundation you carry with you all day. It's important to understand that meditation is not about escaping problems or emotions. It's about meeting them with open eyes and steady breath. You don't push away anger or fear, you acknowledge them without being overwhelmed. This acceptance creates peace in the middle of difficulty. When practiced every morning, this acceptance becomes a habit that shapes your entire outlook and behavior. Many people avoid meditation because they think it requires a special mindset or extra effort. The truth is, meditation trains exactly what everyone needs, a mind that can settle quickly and stay focused. This ability helps you in every area of life, work, relationships, health. When your mind is sharp and calm, you're less reactive and more creative, more patient and more confident. Meditation also connects you to something deeper, your own awareness and choice. It reminds you that no matter how intense a moment feels, you are not your emotions. You are the observer of your emotions. This perspective is liberating because it breaks the cycle of automatic reaction and puts you back in the driver's seat. By making meditation a part of your morning routine, you create a ritual that supports your growth and resilience. It signals to your mind and body that today is different. It's not just another day of being pulled by every distraction and trigger. Instead, it's a day you control. This small daily habit builds up, strengthening your mind's ability to respond thoughtfully in every situation. The moments after meditation often feel peaceful, but the true test is how that peace carries through challenges. With practice, you'll notice that stressful conversations, difficult decisions, and unexpected problems don't shake you the way they used to. Your mind stays clearer, your heart steadier, and your actions more intentional. This is the real benefit, being calm and in control, even when life tries to push you around. Morning meditation is the cornerstone of training your mind to respond, not react. It's not a quick fix, but a lifelong skill that transforms how you experience and engage with the world. It's a way to build the mental strength and emotional intelligence that most people never develop. By dedicating time to this practice, you prepare yourself to handle whatever comes your way with wisdom, grace, and power. Number 10. Respond with intention, not impulse, every single time. There's a harsh truth that many people face daily. They live most of their lives reacting to situations rather than responding with intention. It's easy to get caught in that cycle because the world moves fast, emotions run high, and everything feels urgent. But when you react without thought, you give away your power. You become a passenger to your emotions, letting them drive the bus. The difference between reacting and responding is the difference between chaos and control. Responding means you take a moment to decide your action based on what truly serves you and the situation. Reacting means you're pulled by emotion and habit, often causing more harm than good. Training yourself to respond intentionally every single time is one of the most important habits you can develop. It's the foundation of emotional strength, clear thinking, and meaningful relationships. Look around, and you'll see countless examples of people reacting impulsively, snapping in anger, making hasty decisions, or saying things they immediately regret. These moments feel natural and unavoidable, but they're actually the result of a mind untrained in control. Every time you act on impulse, you lose an opportunity to choose wisely. You give your energy to confusion and conflict instead of calm and clarity. The price for this loss is high: broken relationships, missed chances, and inner turmoil. On the other hand, when you respond with intention, you protect your peace and create better outcomes. Responding with intention starts with awareness. You have to recognize the impulse before it takes over. That means tuning into your feelings and thoughts as soon as a situation arises. Notice the tension in your body, the speed of your breath, the racing in your mind. These signals tell you an emotional reaction is building. Instead of pushing these feelings away or ignoring them, acknowledge them honestly. Awareness creates the space to choose your response instead of being controlled by instinct. Intentional responses come from a mindset of calm and purpose. You ask yourself, what outcome do I want here? What's the best way to express myself or handle this situation? You think beyond the immediate emotion and focus on long-term results. This shift in perspective changes everything. You're no longer trapped in the heat of the moment. You become the person who solves problems instead of creating them, who builds bridges instead of burning them. It's important to understand that responding intentionally does not mean suppressing your feelings or being passive. It means channeling your emotions in ways that are productive and clear. Anger can be communicated firmly without cruelty. Fear can be addressed with courage and planning. Frustration can lead to constructive action rather than outbursts. This skill takes practice, but each time you pause and choose your words and actions carefully, you strengthen your ability to respond with intention. Many people struggle because they confuse impulse with honesty. They think speaking whatever comes to mind is being real, but true honesty is thoughtful. It respects both your feelings and those of others. When you respond with intention, your communication becomes more meaningful and effective. You say what matters, when it matters, and how it matters. This builds trust and respect in your relationships because people know you're reliable and considerate, not unpredictable. Training yourself to respond intentionally requires consistent effort. It's not about a single perfect moment, but a lifelong habit. Every time a challenge or trigger arises, you practice pausing, reflecting, and then acting with purpose. This builds your emotional intelligence, your ability to manage your feelings and navigate social situations skillfully. Emotional intelligence is what separates people who thrive in life from those who get stuck in conflict and regret. One practical way to build this habit is to use a mental checklist when you feel triggered. What am I feeling right now? What is causing this? What do I want to achieve by my response? How will my reaction affect others and myself? Taking even a few seconds to run through these questions breaks the automatic cycle of reaction and leads you toward thoughtful action. This small pause can change the course of your day, your relationships, and your overall well-being. Responding with intention also means accepting responsibility for your emotions and actions. It's tempting to blame circumstances or other people for how you feel, but this only keeps you stuck in reaction mode. True empowerment comes when you own your experience and decide how to handle it. This ownership is freeing because it puts you back in control. No matter how difficult a situation is, you always have the choice of how to respond. Another key part of responding intentionally is learning to say no when necessary and setting boundaries clearly. When you react impulsively, you often say yes out of fear or pressure, leading to overwhelm and resentment. When you respond thoughtfully, you honor your limits and communicate them with confidence. This protects your energy and helps maintain healthy relationships. Boundaries are not walls. They are lines that protect your ability to respond rather than react. Responding with intention creates a ripple effect. Your calm and clear responses influence others to act similarly. Instead of fueling conflict, you become a source of stability and reason. People begin to trust you more and seek your input in difficult moments. This makes you a leader in your family, workplace, or community. The power of your intentional response extends far beyond the moment. It's important to recognize the challenges here. Sometimes emotions are intense, and the pressure to react is overwhelming. In those moments, you may not get it right. That's okay. Growth happens in the effort and the commitment to keep trying. Every time you catch yourself reacting and reset toward intention, you build resilience and strength. This is progress, not perfection. Training yourself to respond with intention reshapes your entire life. It rewires your brain to operate from a place of strength and clarity instead of chaos and confusion. Your relationships improve because you communicate better and avoid unnecessary conflict. Your mental health benefits because you reduce stress and regret. Your decisions become wiser because they are based on clear thinking rather than emotional storms. The difference between responding and reacting is the difference between living life by default and living it on purpose. Responding with intention means you are awake, aware, and active in creating your experience. It means you do not hand over your power to the moment, to others, or to your feelings. Instead, you take the lead in how your life unfolds. This level of control is available to anyone willing to practice and commit. It starts with small decisions every day, choosing your words, your actions, your thoughts. Over time, these choices build into a mindset that naturally defaults to response rather than reaction. This mindset will carry you through challenges, setbacks, and stress with grace and strength. The path to responding with intention is not easy, but it's simple. It requires patience, honesty, and practice. But the payoff is immense. You gain peace in the middle of chaos, clarity in confusion, and strength in moments of weakness. Your life becomes a reflection of your values, not your impulses. Choose to respond intentionally every time, no matter how small the moment. This simple commitment will transform how you experience the world and yourself. It will make you stronger, wiser, and more at peace,